even though hormones were the trigger, that really wasn't it. It was mold, it was candida overgrowth, it was Epstein-Barr virus, H. pylori. It was so much more than just the typical, your dad is bald, so that's your future.
Welcome to the Experience Health Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Vassar, an online holistic health practitioner, helping high achievers conquer weight loss resistance, gut issues, and low energy by getting to the root. On this show, we're shifting the paradigm on healing through nervous system regulation, functional nutrition, root cause protocols, and sustainable life changes. If you're ready to reclaim your energy, restore your health, and feel like you again, you're in the right place. So let's dive in. What is up, everybody? Today we are diving into one of the most frustrating and emotional health challenges, hair loss. I'm joined by Saril Vasquez, if I said your name correctly, a triple certified functional practitioner and founder of Belle Organix, who helps women reverse hair loss naturally by uncovering the root causes. This episode is for anyone who's been told it's just genetics, hormones, or something you have to live with. Spoiler, it is not. So, Saril, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. Last name is Vasquez, but
Vasquez, okay.
I
literally asked you before this and I forgot.
It's okay. And the name of the company is Belle Organix, but the program, it's called Belle Organix. And Belle Organix, what it really means, it's a woman that masters her body mechanics.
Oh, interesting.
To reveal her inner Belle.
Wow, that's super exciting. So diving right in, I would love to start with your story. What led you to this work?
Well, clearly I was having my own issue because why else would someone be so obsessed with hair loss? I guess it's such a big problem that plagues the world today, especially with women. And we get to hide it if we want to with powders and wigs and pieces and whatnot, hairstyles, but it's just so prevalent nowadays. I think especially because of the introduction of hormones and toxins and the food quality and the amount of sugar in the diet. So there were a lot of different factors that contributed to this worldwide pandemic, you could say, which is hair loss and thinning, not just among women, but men as well. But what got me into it was when I was 24 years old, I washed my hair and this drastic amount of hair came out, and I was just like, what is going on? That is so strange. I had so much hair though. It didn't really make a difference until a few years later. That being said, I was on birth control and I got off the patch. And when I got off of it, that's what started everything. I became estrogen dominant, which can happen even if you are in menopause and you don't have a lot of estrogen, because the dominance is what's important here. And if you don't have the right ratio between progesterone and estrogen, you can become estrogen dominant. And so I also had symptoms of androgen dominance at the same time. And so even though hormones were the first part of the equation, the trigger, that really wasn't it. It was mold, it was candida overgrowth, it was Epstein-Barr virus, it was my H. pylori, it was allergens in my environment, like dust. It was so much more than just the typical, oh, it's your dad is bald, so that's your future. And oh, well, hormones, like, because I would take the hormones. I took the spironolactone, which is a drug that lowers DHT. I took even bioidentical progesterone. I took all the things, and like they just gave me these crazy symptoms. They didn't fix the problem at all. And so that's when I realized, you know what? Playing target practice with hormones doesn't fix the problem. Chasing lab values and trying to get everything into the perfect range doesn't fix the problem. Like, you really have to reverse engineer this thing and figure out, like, what does the body need in order to grow hair? And what in the world could be getting in the way of that? And so I think that's the missing piece nowadays when it comes to reversing hair loss naturally, and why so many people do not get to experience that, especially not in a long-lasting way, because they're just looking at it the wrong way. They're troubleshooting it the wrong way.
Yeah, I know a lot of times people go straight to hormones like you did, thinking that they're getting to the root when they're talking about hormones, but You're not. If you're going just to hormones, you're not getting to the root. And that's a really important thing that you figured out. When was kind of like the point where you were like, okay, I'm not really figuring this thing out. I need to dig deeper.
Well, I worked in the medical field. I was working in account management for specialty pharmacies, helping people. I also worked in diagnostic imaging, but I was, for the most part of my career, in allopathic medicine. I was helping people get the cure for Hep C, and I was helping them get approved for HIV medicine. So I had developed relationships with the providers. Like some of them were my friends. I could speak to them with confidence. And so when your friends are telling you there's nothing you can do but slow it down, I was like, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. If I'm trying to fix this and no one can help me, I'm just gonna have to, figure it out myself. And I didn't do it alone. God helped me, honestly, because there was a point in my journey where I had gotten some of the results. Maybe I had less shedding or maybe a little bit of regrowth, but just not really. I will actually let me show you guys what I used to look like. So that for the people that can see this on YouTube, you'll see a picture of me if with my hair very, very thin all over. I mean, it
Mm.
was just see-through. And I looked sick. I had these super dark circles under my eyes. I also had balding on the side of my head, just like a big old patch of no hair. I definitely didn't feel confident when I was trying to date and meet people because I just didn't feel sexy. I didn't look sexy. And then I also had a big widened middle part as well that just was
Oh.
growing. And it was just, it was devastating. And so I remember I had gotten some success, but I wasn't able to close in that gap in the middle of my head, and my hair wasn't thick yet. It was kind of still see-through. And when I
Mm.
woke up in the morning, and this is something that your audience can do if they want to see if they have adhesions on their scalp. You can just put your fingertips about 2 inches above your ears on each side and kind of spread them out. And then you want to kind of bend your fingers a little bit because your intention is going to be to get the crown, the forehead, the very center forehead to wrinkle in towards each other. So you're essentially trying to push in towards each other, each side of your scalp. And so if you can do that and you have this range of motion, this flexibility with your scalp where it's moving front and back and in and
That's
out,
right.
right? Then you have the capacity to receive blood that's rich in
Ah.
nutrients and oxygen there. But if you don't, it's like there's a cement that's just gluing everything. And and then it's gonna be more difficult at that point, right? And so I woke up every morning. I would wake up and it was like this. I couldn't move it. It was frozen, and I was like, "Oh
Oh,
God,
wow.
please help me!" And the moment I said that, I was crying. I'm like, "Please, I know that there's something I can do." I went and I looked on my phone, and I researched something I had researched a million times, about just like how blood is supposed to behave and the lymphatic system and all these other things. And I got the breakthrough on like, oh, this is the missing piece. And so I changed my approach and I started implementing, differently, things that together, what the solution should be. And boom, I got the breakthrough. Like it was like my hair started getting thick, the bald spots started filling in. And so it was just God, I think. But other than that, I would say that it's quite important to understand that if you just go down that hormone route, you're just focusing on trying to bring deficiency to sufficiency as opposed to trying to dismantle the dysfunction. Something's wrong. And the reason something's wrong is why did your body create excess hormones? Why are the hormones not behaving the way they're supposed to? Well, typically the body will do that in an effort to what we say is modulate inflammation. Like it's trying to calm down the inflammation. It's trying to fix that. It's trying to make the inflammation go away. And so it will use estrogen or even testosterone as an anti-inflammatory agent. And so we'll start seeing that there's a disharmony with the amount of hormones, but your body did that for a reason. So no wonder we start taking these other medications with hormones and we get these crazy side effects. I mean, I was like
Mm.
on progesterone, I remember. And this lady was doing my nails, and I didn't like the way she was doing them, and the hormones were kind of making me crazy. I dug my nails into her because I was mad at her, and I was like, why did I just do that? That's horrible. Like, I'm not like this, you know. Like, I was just like, this is. I was like, I have to get off this thing. And I remember when I was calling on different doctors' offices, like there was this one lady that everybody used to talk about her behind her back because she was on hormones and she was cuckoo. Like she just lived in this world that wasn't real, like just the way she
Mm,
perceived everything. And I was like, wow, this is just not the solution. At least not for me.
yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Hormones make people do crazy things for sure. If they're taking bioidentical hormones or if the hormones are just off naturally. It can definitely be really rough when you have hormone imbalances, especially when like progesterone and estrogen and testosterone are involved.
Right.
Those can definitely be difficult for sure. So, yeah, that's definitely really interesting. I'd love to dive into kind of what you figured out, that like breakthrough moment here in a second, but I kind of want to stay helping people kind of understand what well, first off, a big question for me is like, what is a normal amount of shedding? Because obviously, like, your hair sheds, I think, naturally, like when you take a shower or brush your hair or something like that. What is a normal amount, and what is amount where you should be worried?
Yeah, I feel like I get that question all the time. And people don't realize that it's possible to wash your hair, to brush your hair, and to only lose 3 or 4 strands. I mean, that's possible. It's possible to like run your fingers through your hair and not have hair on your hands. It's possible.
Is that like optimal?
I would, the thing is that yes, you're supposed to shed hair, and the less you're shedding, the longer each strand is staying in the anagen phase, which is the first phase of hair growth. And this is the phase where your hair follicle is rooted. It is rooted into the blood supply. Your scalp is the part of your body that has the most capillaries. Okay. And so when it's rooted, it can grow thick, it can grow long. Okay.
Mm.
Because it's actively receiving blood that's rich in nutrients and oxygen. Once it moves into the telogen phase, it has moved to a phase where it's not going to get longer, it's not going to get thicker because it's not connected to the blood supply anymore. It's just sitting on your scalp, and it will get pushed out in an effort for a new hair to have space to grow. And so the problem comes when we're pushing too many hairs to the telogen phase too quickly, and it's not lasting 2 to 8 years in the anagen phase. And so you start seeing all the shedding. Now, hair shedding is good in the sense that when you drop those hairs, you're shedding heavy metals. So sometimes I feel like the body in its intelligent ways, it will purposely move more hair into the telogen phase because it knows that when it does that, you're going to create more hair that will be made from organic matter, which means it will pull blood, it will pull heavy metals from the blood into the hair. And so it almost becomes a secondary mechanism of detoxification.
Wow,
And
that's
so
super interesting.
when I'm noticing people are having a lot of issues with shedding, I'm like, okay, where's the high amount of toxicant exposure? Where is the immune system stuck? Like, do they have mast cell activation syndrome, or are they just hypersensitive to everything? What is triggering that? Are they also having itchiness on their body or their scalp? And what is there a histamine response we're looking at? And then I'm also looking at, the hormones as well, because the hormones, they're not a free for all. Your body has to make the hormone, it has to transport the hormone has to attach to a cell receptor and get utilized. The hormone will give a command to the cell, right? And so they are chemical messengers. And then after that, your liver has to excrete them. So I mean, your body excretes them, right? We can test for hormones in our saliva, in our urine. So the body's trying to get rid of them, which means that they're not a free for all. Like you put it in, you got to get rid of it. And if you're not doing that in the right harmony, you don't have the chemical balance that you need with the hormones. So that's why I think just taking hormones doesn't fix the problem. But with that being said, the thing that we should keep in mind is that Oh gosh, I forgot your question. I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Well, my initial question was what's a normal amount of shedding?
Oh, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Hormones sometimes are implicated in that. And so the thing to keep in mind is that when we do have an imbalance of hormones, the body might prompt extra shedding because now uh, it is inflamed. And so the hormones are being made to modulate the inflammation. So I don't think it is the fact that the hormones are causing it. And there are studies that are showing that when there is a high level of DHT in the scalp, there are also prostaglandins, particularly prostaglandin D2, which has a tendency to constrict and contract. And they're thinking like maybe that's what's causing the hair loss more so than the DHT. They're not sure if the DHT is correlative, meaning that it just happens to be there, or causative, meaning that that's the reason why the hair is actually thinning. We've thought for the longest that it's causative, like if there's DHT that's causing it. But now they're like, wait a second, like, well, there are some holes in that theory because how come in men when they have elevated DHT, they're actually they get more body hair and that's hair. So why is it behaving differently on the scalp? And so there's these holes that they were poking in the theory, and now they're understanding like, wait a second, it might just be correlative and not causative. And so the hormones are there in the wrong proportion because there's inflammation. And then now you have excess hormones, and now it's a stress on the liver. So now you have a tendency for the body to be more toxic because it's the liver's doing 500 things in general, and it has a lot more to detox you from than just hormones. And so you can get that tendency to be backed up with toxins. So it's interesting
Mm,
how it's all playing a role, and there's a reason why they're implicated, but it's not necessarily because if that was the case, then taking more hormones would fix the problem, right?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
there are some
absolutely.
people, like for instance, I was put on spironolactone for a brief period of time. And what I noticed was that uh it did stop the damage. Like it stopped damage from getting worse. And I got a little bit of regression. Like it wasn't like I looked the way I looked 5 years before. But I did see some kind of improvement, but I think that improvement came from just having more blood flow to the scalp, and because it was suppressing DHT. And so I know that there's an implication there where the body was having less prostaglandin D2. So I think that because they're coming together on the scene. But it wasn't like this progressive thinning that I can see in my, I'm sorry, progressive regrowth that I can see in my clients, uh, you know, uh, using something that suppresses a hormone. Like you're not gonna get a progressive regrowth that way by just focusing on like getting all the hormones in perfect harmony. Like there is this opportunity for improvement in the recent damage, is what I'm saying, right?
Mm, yeah.
But not like this long term, like, oh, you're gonna look the way that you did, 5 years ago
It's
from
kind of
using.
like a short-term fix type thing, is
Right.
what I'm
Right.
hearing. Mm.
Right. And I had horrible side effects. My period stopped coming. I had horrible breath. People didn't even want to talk to me. I'm like, this is not worth it. I mean, like I'm trying to have babies. I'm trying to date. Like this is dumb.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. So what I'm hearing is like toxicity and infections seem to be a very common root cause that leads to this inflammation that causes this hormonal dysregulation and therefore causes hair to kind of thin out. Would you say that toxicity and infections are like some of the most common things that you have to work with clients through?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
That's super interesting because that's not something that I hear a lot in the hair regrowth space, like in the normal hair regrowth space. It's always like take this hormone or try this new shampoo, and it's like
Right.
why I wanted to bring you on this podcast today is because I always figured, and with my teaching as a holistic health practitioner too, like I figured that was not it. I just didn't have a lot of education in hair regrowth specifically. So that's really nice to know that the root causes of the hair follow is very similar to things that I am familiar with when it comes to like gut health issues or weight loss resistance and stuff like that. So really interesting.
And it's
So
also
if
diet. Diet is
diet,
huge. Yeah, it's like
absolutely.
one of the biggest triggers. It's the diet and it's the environment. So the environment and then it's also the dysfunction that is just perpetuating. It's in this negative feedback loop, and nobody's breaking it, and things are just getting cyclically worse and worse. So that's really the where it comes down to. It's like these daily choices that are surrounded by what you're eating, the quality of the water, what you're breathing in, what you're putting on your skin, how much you're sleeping, how stressed you are. Like all those things actually do play a significant role, a very significant role
Yeah.
um, in the expression of the hair loss and thinning. And then it's, like I said, also dismantling the dysfunction as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, kind of going a little bit back to the question that I asked before, just because I want people to kind of understand if they need to be worried about this or not. So, you have like really curly hair. How often do you wash your hair?
When my hair is curly, I can wash it every day or every other day. When my hair is straight, meaning that I use a hair straightener, that has infrared technology.
Oh,
So yeah, and it helps me be able to grow my hair longer without damaging it. So when I do that, I can leave it without washing, I don't know, 5, 6 days, maybe 10 if I use dry shampoo. It just depends.
oh, nice. Okay, and then when you wash your hair, let's say if you wash your hair like every other day, how much hair fallout do you typically see now? And then how much did you see then?
Oh, strands. I mean, I always take the hair that I shed in the shower and I collect it from the drain and I put it into a little ball. And I mean, it's like not even the size of a dime. It's super tiny. And when it's bigger than that, then and sometimes it might even just be like 2 or 3 strands. Yeah, like it really just depends. And when it's bigger than that, then I start going, what's going on? Like, what have I been eating? Have I been exposed to something? Just to give you guys some context uh, of the things that I've discovered. One time I transitioned from working outside in the medical field, going to all these offices to working from home in private practice, helping women online and whatnot. And one thing I noticed was all of a sudden my hair was getting thinner. And I was like, what? I already figured this out. Like, what is going on? This is strange. And it was because I was spending so much more time at home and I had not cleaned the ducts with the dust, like in my air conditioning. And I also had feather duvets and feather pillows that over the years disintegrated into dust. And those were sprayed with chemicals and put into the pillows. And so when I was in the process of discovering that, and I realized the way I realized it was interesting. I had recently met my husband, and so we were living together, and we have a beautiful story. We lived together before we were married, but we didn't consummate the marriage until we got married because we're Christian and like God put us together. It was like this beautiful story. He lived in Europe and he moved here for me. But anyway, the point is that he was massaging my face on the couch, and all of a sudden, I had pain in my scalp. I got really thirsty. My stomach got a little bloated. And I was like, why did that happen? You see? And that's why my company, or not my company, but my website and my flagship course is called Belle Organix because, like I said, it's a woman that masters her body mechanics to reveal her inner belle. So you have to always ask yourself, why did I get the symptom? I didn't just eat anything. I didn't just get stressed out. I'm in a massage. Like, what's happening? And when I realized that the duct was faced directly at my face, and I could feel the flow of the AC coming into my face. I was like, aha. I think it's that. And so I went and I looked at the door that housed my AC unit, and there was a bunch of dust in all the crevices. Even though I clean my house every 2 weeks, there was still, it was kind of accumulating there. And the filter of my AC unit had a gap. There was a gap in between the filter and the AC, so there was dust that was getting in between. And so I realized I think I need to handle this. And the reason I even knew that was because at one point when I was sleeping in my bedroom, I had an air cleaner in there. And I had not changed the air cleaner in a long time. And then I had it off. And then one day I turned it on. And the minute I turned it on, I started having symptoms. So I already knew dust was an issue, but I didn't know that I had to like service my duct central AC unit and how much of a trigger it was. And then when I did that, it was like, I wasn't asymptomatic and my hair was finally thickening again. So it was like I was doing my protocol and it wasn't working. And it was because of the amount of dust that I was in. And you would think that I was like a dirty hoarder. I am not. Like everybody who is
Yeah.
on YouTube can see, I kind of run a tight ship. It's not, but the thing is that now the way that they've made new homes, they're just so energy efficient that they keep all the air conditioned air inside, which means that they're not getting a lot of fresh air from the outside in.
Mm.
And the solution to pollution is dilution. So without the dilution of the air from, excuse me, outside coming in, the air inside is going to be more toxic. And that was before I had air cleaners all over the place, and I still had car or like rugs, thick file rugs, and all of that creates dust. And so there were some changes that I had to make, and that was one of the aha moments too. It was just like the hidden triggers that people don't realize, like you are not peeing out dust. Your body's a recycling machine. It has to recycle all the toxins you put into it. And the dust isn't soil that's organically fertilized. It's polyester that, you know, made a hole in your sock. You wore the
Yeah.
sock over and over again, and now there's a hole in it.
Plastics flying around in the air. Yeah.
Yeah, it's toxic stuff, right? And so that's really part of the issue there. I think a lot of people don't realize that. I remember one time I was changing the covers on the pillows, and I had just washed them all. The decorative pillows that the women love to have and make the house feel nice and girly. So I have all these decorative pillows, and I'm fluffing them, and dust just like flying from, I'm trying to fluff it before I put the cover on. And the moment I did that, symptoms, pain, literally inflammation pains. Like signs of inflammation are pain, swelling, burning, and redness. And so I didn't have redness, but I had all these other symptoms. And then the next couple washes, I had a bunch of hair coming out.
Mm.
So I mean, I couldn't even tell
So
you
like
the
your
story.
body can react that quickly to irritant?
It really just depends on the state of your health, So the more toxic you are, the easier it's going to be for you to respond to something because like for instance, if someone was in a car accident and they were bruised all over, and then you touch them where they have a bruise, they're gonna ouch, like it hurts. But if someone's healthy and you poke them, they'll be like, stop poking me. And they're not gonna say, oh, it hurts, right? So
Yeah.
the resilience the resilience is key there. And so how resilient you are, it all depends on how much exposure you have, and how good are you at helping your body get rid of those exposures as quickly as they come in?
Yeah, that's super interesting. I haven't thought about what dust is made of before, actually. So when you said that, I was like, wait a minute, no wonder why it's such an irritant. That makes sense. Because sometimes I just think it's like dirt flying around when how is dirt gonna get in your house? So yeah,
Yeah.
wow. For people who are like, yeah, I think I do have hair loss or they have noticeable hair loss, how do you know if their hair loss is actually reversible?
Mm, great question. So I personally feel confident in helping anyone that has hair loss and thinning, even if they have scarring alopecia, unless they have suffered a severe burn, meaning like they literally had of an iron on their head or something, like they escaped a fire, like a third-degree burn, right? Because in that case, you're having a change to your skin. The skin is not going to look the same, and it's
Yeah.
not going to heal the same
Yeah.
in this way. So if you have a third-degree burn and your skin did not heal the same, then I would say I'm not confident that hair can grow back there. If you had a surgical incision where they literally cut into your scalp, and the skin is different there where they cut it. Maybe you have a keloid there. Maybe you can see. just that line that shows, like, what, however, it's not gonna, if it doesn't heal the same as it was before, I would say I'm not sure that hair can regrow there. Or if you had a severe infection, meaning there was necrosis, you had a giant black scab that was super thick, and so you suffered from this infection, there was pus, and then it healed differently than it was before, then that's another situation where I would say I'm not sure that I can help you. But I've heard of people having burns, being burn victims and still regrowing their hair. So the
Mm,
body's incredible. You don't really know. I just don't have experience myself helping with
yeah.
that. So, and even but people with the scarring and everything, like, I mean, it's 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 possible if you're able to put the body in a healing place where it can finally get to that point of doing the spring cleaning. When someone eats a meal, their gut is making a decision. It's their gut is making more decisions every time they eat than their brain does in a lifetime. So even just like having intermittent fasting and periodic episodes of planned fasting, if your adrenals are in a good state, it can help the body get to that point of like, oh, okay, now let me go break down the scar tissue. Because when someone cuts themselves, they get a cut and it's red and it hurts, there's pain, there's inflammation. That's part of the healing process, inflammation. It shows that it's healing.
Hmm.
But then you get a scab, and then the scab gets darker, it gets hard, and it falls off, and you have brand new skin. And it's like it never even happened. So why can't that happen on your scalp? Even though it's under your scalp, not on the top, right? It can happen, but not if you keep agitating and creating more inflammation. And then your body's gonna just do sloppy work repairing the damage.
Yeah. Because your body's trying to keep you alive in other ways and fix other issues in the body that are more pressing than your hair looking good.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it has a more important task.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned that you've helped people with alopecia. Do you diagnose, because I hear a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, no, my hair is thinning because I have PCOS or I have thyroid issues or I have alopecia or something like that. Do these diagnoses like matter? Like, does that mean like, oh, you're gonna have a really hard time to regrow your hair, or is it just a distraction?
That is such a good question because coming from allopathic medicine, specifically, I think I was looking for the diagnosis as if it was the cure itself.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, I just need to know which one I have so I can spend 72 hours Googling it to see if Google is going to tell me if it's reversible or not, so I can decide whether or not I'm going to have hope. I just want to know. I just want to know, do I give up and go buy wigs, or do I have hope because this random person said it was? And then it's all conflicting information, so you don't even know. And then
Mm,
people think that alopecia is a type of hair loss. And it's like, no, it's just a clinical term that describes that you have hair loss, right? And so,
yeah. Yeah.
um, and I tell my people all the time, the people in my Facebook group, which is called Reversing Hair Loss Naturally, that the diagnosis is a set of letters that are used in the allopathic community to decide which medication they're going to give you. And it's just next to a diagnosis code so that insurance knows how to bill for the service.
Mm,
That's what it is, right? It's alphabet soup, whether it's TE, PCOS, AGA, whatever it is, FFA, FFCA, whatever, right? Whatever it is. It's a way of just describing the phenomenon that's happening on this person's scalp,
yeah.
right? So it's not like, oh, well, if you have PCOS, then the way for you to heal from hair loss and thinning is ABCD. Uh, but if you have TE, then it's this and that. And if you have AGA, then you got to do it this way. And people would think that kind of makes sense. Why wouldn't it be a different approach? And there are differences because no one protocol is the same. Everyone has different needs. But the way that to go about it using functional medicine, as someone who specializes in this, that's obsessed with it, is not to focus on the diagnosis, is not to focus on um, the what you've been labeled as. It's to focus on what are all the different body systems that are contributing to the problem. And so by that I mean,
Yeah.
like, what's the state of the nervous system? What's the state of the digestive system? What's the state of the endocrine system? Like, what is the state of all these different systems? What are the symptoms that these systems are expressing? Because the
Yeah.
system is quote unquote, I don't want to say broken. It's just like, it's having a hard time regulating itself and going back to homeostasis. And
Yeah.
so what are the choices that we're going to make to support that system so that it can behave the way it should, so the other systems behave the way that they should? Like, it's not, we can't separate it. We have to try to figure
Yeah.
out how we can make it all work together the way it was supposed to.
Absolutely. That is honestly like one of the biggest issues in the medical system that I see when helping people recover from chronic illness or chronic symptoms is they have a really hard time bringing all of the body symptoms systems, sorry, together, because it's like, oh, you have gut issues, go to a GI specialist. Oh, you have an endocrine issue, go to an endocrinologist. But you need to have people like you and me who bring it all together to help you actually heal in a holistic way, because your body works all together. Like everything is connected. And that is a very big issue. Number one, just like labeling people with PCOS, this is your issue, goodbye. Take this medication the rest of your life, or just trying to treat one thing, not understanding how it all works together, and also not understanding the root causes of things, as we were talking about earlier in this podcast episode. So I love that you were able to kind of put that out there in such a good way. I would love to dive a little bit into what actually helps people regrow hair. I'd love to first talk about food, because I know you mentioned before nutrition is a really huge thing, and number one, causing hair loss, and also number two, helping people regrow their hair, because it's a very foundational thing in bringing balance back into the body. So what should someone eat to avoid or support hair growth?
It's easier for me to answer this by saying what they shouldn't eat, right? So, and then we can kind of reverse engineer what's left.
Yeah.
Right. So I tell my clients, if you're trying to reverse hair loss naturally, and actually have a cohort right now, like a group of girls, we're all doing this together. We're doing a 21-day, you can call it a fast, you can call it a challenge. Since I'm Christian but spiritual, like a spiritual Christian, I fast, like, I make it a fast. But anyway, the point is that we're not eating sugar, gluten, dairy, corn, and rice, because those are all highly inflammatory. Sugar, literally of any kind. I mean, if you want to do a green smoothie with like half a green apple, a chunk or two of pineapple, I'll take it, just so you can go ahead and ingest all the greens that are coming with it, because you may not be able to get it down any other way. So that's fine. But other than that, I mean, it's just, we're not eating, we're trying to stay below 20 to 25 grams of sugar a day to be in a space that's less than inflamed. So I think that's important. And people get that wrong sometimes. Like, I had this one lady that she had been told that she eats better than two nutritionists that she's hired, but she was eating 54 grams of sugar a day between all of her fruits and all of her carbs and all the things. I was just like, I'm sorry, honey, but this is not conducive to healing right now. It's having a negative effect on your blood sugar, which is one of the five non-negotiables to reversing hair loss naturally. And so there's that. And then there's also gluten, which is people hear about it all the time, right? Gluten, that contributes to leaky gut.
Yeah, I
And
haven't had gluten in 5 years. I can't do it.
wow, wow, that's impressive. And then there's dairy, because that also contributes to leaky gut, and it can be mucus forming. And so I do feel like when people do enough healing, they can get to the point where maybe they can withstand some dairy and not suffer a great deal.
High
But it's
quality dairy.
right, exactly, maybe goat milk or something, right? Not moldy.
Yeah.
But it's not, it shouldn't be a staple food like it is for a lot of people, especially in the States. And then there's corn and rice, because they both have gluten in them. They just have a different type of gluten that they don't have to market as a gluten food. So they get away with marketing these foods as gluten-free, but they're actually
Mm.
not gluten-free. They have a different type of gluten. And so Dr. Peter Osborne from the Gluten-Free Society was actually famous for sharing that with the world and how there's nothing gluten-free about corn and rice, he would say. And then I realized when I took my clients off of it, they would do so much better.
Are we
And
talking like white rice, brown rice, black rice, like all the different type of rices or like specific rices?
rice, it has
Just
arsenic
in
in it.
general?
Yeah, I mean, it's once you've done enough healing, if you want to sporadically have it, then it might not be, it might be something you can get away with. I actually teach my clients what's called the damage protocol, which is a series of supplements and little routines that you can do the day that you decide you're going to have the cake at the wedding, or you're going to go on vacation, or you're going to go on date night or whatnot, and you know what supplements to take to prepare your body for the blow so that you're not experiencing as much inflammation from that choice. So there are ways, you don't have to feel like, oh no, what else is there to eat? That's everything I eat. It's like, well, did you know that they make bread out of seeds? You can have nuts and seeds. They make tortillas out of almond flour. There's beautiful vegan butters that you can use. Some of them may
Or just
not
use
even have.
coconut oil. I just always use coconut oil. I have a really hard time finding vegan butters that don't have seed oils.
Yeah, I know. As I said that, I was thinking like, the one brand that I was using that didn't have seed oil started adding seed oils into
Yes.
it.
Oh my gosh. Wait. Wait. What was it? Was it Violite or was it a different one?
No, it was Miyoko's.
Okay. I know I was using one. It didn't have seed oils, and then I looked at it again, and I was like, wait, this has seed oils? And I was like,
Yeah,
I thought it didn't. So it was. I can't remember the brand name. Oh yes, I think it was Miyoko or whatever yours was.
right.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was so devastated because it tasted so good.
Yeah, I know, I know, I know, I know. But nonetheless, like there are other choices there, so you don't have to
Yeah.
feel deprived because
Yeah.
you can do some substitutions, and so that's why I tell my clients to do a 21-day challenge with me because we change the palate, and then at that point we feel so amazing when we abstain from it that we end up attaching pleasure to abstaining from the food and pain to reintroducing it. So that way the habits can stick. And so then
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
reintroduce it and we'll see like, oh man, I was feeling so much better. And now I started eating this again. I feel like crap again. It's like, okay, now we're having the shift in behavior because we're attaching pain to the right thing and pleasure to the right thing.
Absolutely. That was a huge thing I had to do to give up gluten because I loved gluten containing products a lot when I was younger and it made me feel terrible. And so I had to like slowly just like I would eat something with gluten and be like, wait, I don't feel good. I can't eat that anymore. I knew it would like I didn't cut it cold turkey because I mean I tried to, but it didn't work because I still wanted stuff that had gluten in it.
You're
But it
right.
got to a point where I was like, I just don't feel good when I eat this. I feel so much better when I don't. I'm just not gonna eat gluten anymore. And I don't feel deprived like at all not eating gluten. Sometimes I make sourdough for people and I just want to eat the sourdough because it smells good, but I'm not like super tempted and I don't feel deprived because I know how it makes me feel and I don't like being bloated or throwing up. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's just not worth it. You just feel so amazing that you're just like, oh my gosh, like why
absolutely.
deal with it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so we know the foods to limit, avoid gluten, dairy, corn, rice. What was the other
Too much
one?
sugar, too much sugar.
Sugar, sugar, of course, yes. Now, what are the foods that people should focus on including into their diet generally?
So, so yeah, lean, organic, grass-fed meats, right? Vegetables. So you have your resistant starches, you have mostly your cruciferous and sulfur-rich vegetables, what are good, and then nuts and seeds, and then you can exchange the gluten grains for non-glutinous grains like buckwheat or quinoa. So that I mean that's pretty much how people should be eating. So if you look at that, you can say to yourself, I can have bone broth for breakfast, I can have a green smoothie for lunch, and then for dinner I can have some kind of protein with a bunch of vegetables, and maybe I'll make a sauce out of cashews that I can smother over it, and maybe I'll put some salad under it, and that's how I'm gonna eat. And then you eat like that Monday through Friday, or maybe Monday through Saturday morning, and then maybe Saturday and Sunday you could do that damage protocol that I was talking about, or don't and just feel amazing and get more gains and leave that for when you're gonna go on vacation, right? Or special occasions.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really like making a habit out of like
Cheating.
cheating, yeah.
Okay, got it.
So that's like personally, I don't like have my clients like plan for that or anything. I just like let them know what to do, like if they have like a date night or something like that. But everyone is different, so they kind of have to figure out what works best for them. So I like that you said that. Could you maybe share like some of the damage protocol if you're open to it that you have people do, maybe like a few things from it?
I mean that's my secret.
Okay, you don't need to
That's
share
my
then. That's
secret.
no
No, no,
worries.
no. But I can definitely say that when you're doing that damage protocol, the important part is to have. I mean, there are a lot of important parts, but I can definitely say that you want to have binders after you have the bad meal, and
Mm.
then you want to drink a ton of water and stop eating, and you want to sweat if possible. So it's just
Mm.
like this incredible push to try to get the toxins out immediately as soon as you get.
Mm.
So you
Take
can
a
stay.
binder, go into a sauna, drink a bunch of
Yeah,
water.
yeah. It's like,
I
okay,
love
so
that.
you're eating the ice cream at 7 o'clock. Okay, so you're done by 7:30 and you're not eating until you poop. And you're gonna have some binders, you're gonna drink a bunch of water, you're gonna get into the sauna and do not keep drinking water all the way until you poop tomorrow. And that's gonna be important, right?
I love that. Yeah, that's I love that. Those little tips there for helping people navigate eating what they want type of thing. Awesome. So we've kind of dug quite a bit into food. What are some of the most overlooked daily habits or exposures that kind of like sabotage hair growth, and what are some things that people should do instead?
You, you know what? People are not taking their oral health seriously. And what happens when you have a gut infection is your mouth is a reflection of what's going on in your gut. So if you're having a white tongue and you're having that griminess around your teeth and your
Bad
teeth
breath.
yeah, and your teeth do not feel like they do when you go to the dentist when it's all slick and your mouth feels dry. That's all conducive to decay, and it's just a reflection of what's going on in your gut. And I myself have experienced this, and so have my clients, where we do an oral routine that is so on point that our bloating will go away because we have reduced the toxic threshold on the gut because of that gut brain connection, and all the
Mm-hmm.
toxins that are in your mouth are going into your gums directly into your bloodstream. And then like I said, there's that highway with the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is a giant nerve, and nerves have an affinity. I'm sorry, toxins have an affinity for fat, and nerves are made out of fat. So it is a nerve that often gets inundated with toxins. But
Mm.
to my point, taking care of your oral hygiene can literally reduce the burden on your gut, and it could just make you more conducive to healing. So I think something that's often overlooked is the amount of care that people should put into their oral routine, to make sure that they are removing the bacteria and the gunk there, because the the cervical lymph nodes, especially if you don't have your tonsils, they're right here on each side of your neck. And sometimes they're so tender and sensitive that you can even feel them, on the side of each of your neck sometimes,
Yeah,
right? And
I've
so,
noticed that before.
right. And so when you have too much toxicity in your mouth, like that's all gonna drain somehow through your lymphatic system, and so that can make your cervical lymph nodes kind of have a traffic jam. And so if this has a traffic jam, well, guess what? All of the lymph nodes around your face, on your scalp, well, that's gonna have a hard time draining because they're all going down the same highway too. And so, if you take care of the oral microbiome and you make sure that this isn't congested, then when you sleep at night and your brain literally shrinks so that it can have the space to get rid of the lymph around your cranial area, then you're gonna have more blood flow to the scalp because
Mm.
the lymphatic system and the blood circulatory system, they work in tandem. So when you have too much lymph, you don't have enough blood flowing. And so that's
Oh, interesting.
yeah, so you want to make sure that you are draining well your lymphatic system around here. So the people that feel like they have swollen lymph nodes on their face or they have swollen lymph nodes on their neck, or maybe the way it manifests with hair is like your nape feels thin, or maybe your temple feels thin, or maybe the hair above your ears is thinner, and it can be
Hmm.
thinner and thicker. And so that could be all a drainage issue, like you're not getting enough lymph moving out, which means you're not getting enough blood flow there. So I think that's
Interesting.
extremely overlooked.
Yeah, that was definitely not something I was expecting you to say, but I love that you talked about that because I do think that is something that a lot of people overlook as well when focusing on their health. What is like one big thing that people like, if you're like, this is one thing everyone absolutely needs to do to help improve their gut, their mouth, their oral hygiene, sorry. That's not just like a typical thing. What would it be?
Let me think. Because there's a lot of things that I do that aren't typical and that I tell my
Well, if
clients
you
to
want to bring in
do.
a few, that's okay.
But so there's ozonated olive oil that you can use around your gum line to disinfect your gum because ozone has it can help with detoxification. So you because you can do the oil pulling with coconut oil, which is antimicrobial, but you could also do it with ozonated olive oil because that helps with bacteria. And also using the water flosser uh, and brushing your teeth with probiotics. So like I have a powdered probiotic that I put my clients on sometimes, and I may ask them to at the end of their nighttime routine to literally brush their teeth with it. Because then you're going
Mm,
to sleep and then there's all this bacteria that's growing in your mouth and now you have probiotics in your mouth to support you with that. So there's some
interesting.
different ways. Yeah, I mean, because you could use uh, hydrogen peroxide to really clean the slate and kind of get the microbes out. But then if you do that, you can put microbes back in by brushing your teeth with probiotics.
I see. I have a question about something that I just started using. I started using the Boca Restore mouthwash. I think it has like probiotics in it. Have you heard of that, or like what's your thoughts on that specifically? It's kind of like a mouthwash tablet thing, so it's not something that you actually brush on your teeth. It's like a mouthwash thing. Could
I
people like
haven't,
either do toothbrush or mouthwash like with probiotics in it?
I mean, I would still do a toothbrush. I would do a wooden one.
Okay.
But I would still do a toothbrush. I haven't heard of the Boca one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, if it
So
has
like
probiotics in it, that sounds good.
yeah, but in your opinion, is like brushing it on your teeth more effective than through mouthwash then?
I would say you can't I don't think I don't think that you can choose one or the other. Like I think both having a mouthwash and brushing your teeth with toothpaste
Well,
are
I
two.
meant like brushing your teeth with probiotics and then obviously brushing your teeth too. Or using, obviously we're brushing your teeth
Oh, okay.
as
I wasn't
well.
sure. I
I
wasn't
just meant
sure.
like what's better, brushing with probiotics or brushing with normal toothpaste and then using a probiotic mouthwash? Or would that be like the same thing?
Probably the same thing.
Okay,
It
that was my
depends
question.
there is a difference in the strain specificity. So I don't know what probiotics are in the mouthwash. I would assume that if they're marketing it to people as a mouthwash, that there is specific probiotics in there that are especially good for your mouth. So that would make sense.
Okay. What brand do you personally like for the probiotic toothpaste powder? Tooth powder. So
How about I provide a link for it
okay,
for so that
absolutely. You could
they
do
can
that.
click on it. Yeah.
That works. And then my one last question was on the ozonated, if I said that properly, olive oil. If people don't want to buy the olive oil and they just want to use coconut oil, is there like a significant difference in effectiveness?
Well, they just work differently because the
Okay.
coconut oil it has its antimicrobial properties, and then the ozone is just more like antioxidant detoxing effects
Hmm.
because it has ozone in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Ozone it's meant to help detoxify.
Okay, so it has different benefits. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. Um, let's see. One last thing before we kind of get into the end of the podcast. Can you kind of break down the process you use with your clients or students to reverse hair loss? Like how you typically help people?
Sure. Yeah, I would love to. So, first thing is I have them fill out a form, and I do this separately before I even tell them about my different coaching offers or, different ways that people work with me one-on-one or in a group. But this intake form that they fill out, it's like 91 questions long, which sounds like a lot. But it's not really. The reason why it's so important is because I'm asking them everything from were they born vaginally, so I could know if they got mommy's bacteria or not, or from a C-section, all the way to did they get that virus that was going around, which could affect hair loss, or the jab that came with it, right? And when I look at those things and everything in between, then I'm able to understand, like, well, what the hell happened to this person? Like, what the heck triggered it? And so when you understand what were all the dominoes that were being stacked against this person, and then what ultimately flicked the last domino so they all fell down, which resulted in progressive thinning, then we know how to support this particular person. And so, like, I had a client that was an art teacher, and she had been dealing with hair loss for about 30 years. And so her concern was, I don't know if I'm ever going to grow it back because it's been so long and I have no idea what it was. And turns out it was when she became vegan or vegetarian in her 30s that triggered it. And it was because of the amount of sugar that she was eating, similar to my story. When I became raw vegan for a brief period of time, that's when my hair got the worst it had ever been. And it was literally because of the amount of sugar I was eating, even though it was fruit. And so that triggered it for her. But then what exacerbated it over the years was the amount of toxins that she was exposing herself to between the chemicals in the paint at home, at work, and all of the things. And the quality of her water was very poor because she lived in Florida and she was drinking out of the faucet. And so that was
Oh,
like getting in the way of her healing.
I don't know how
And
people do that. I
yeah, and
can't.
she had mold in one of her jobs that she was working
Oh,
at.
wow.
And exposed
Yeah.
to mold there. And so her body was experiencing, fungal overgrowth. By the time she got to me, she had already stopped eating sugar and her hair shedding had gotten so much better. But she still had that progressive thinning on her crown. Like her part was wide and she just didn't like the way that she looked. And she already had her hair super short because she couldn't grow it long and thick. And so we were able to get that breakthrough with her when we addressed all of those things. Like we had to do some cleanup in the home as far as like uh, how well ventilated it was and which quality paints and how like just what quality water like so we really created this environment for her in the home that was more conducive to healing. She was spending less time at the school where the mold was, and then we put her through a protocol to undo the damage, right? And so if I don't have that full picture, then it's hard for me to know what triggered it, and then what are the steps that we have to take to get you to a place where you can heal. So that's the first part of it. And then after that, it's really like I have my clients fill out a tracker where they're sharing what they ate, what symptoms they're having, their bowel habits, and there's a very sophisticated way of them explaining that. And also their hair and the progression. Like, did your scalp feel itchy? Did it, did your hair feel thinner? Did you have increased shedding? Like, so we're looking at all these things and also how much water they're drinking, how much they're sleeping, and then we start noticing patterns. And then I put together a protocol for them. And I'm like, okay, girl, you gotta take these supplements and I want you to eat in this window of time. And when we talk about this, and then I want you to incorporate these daily and weekly habits. Okay. And these are the foods that I want you to eat, and these are the foods I don't want you to eat. But here are some substitutions for the foods that I don't want you to eat, so you don't feel deprived. We're going to focus on what you can eat. So let's figure out like what is this going to look like for you, right? So I know for me,
Yeah.
like what does it look like for you? Like if they eat out a lot, like what are the safe restaurants around you that we can go to? And what are the safe meals at each restaurant that you can just order, right? At these different places. And if they cook, it's like, okay, where are you getting your stuff from? What kind of meals are you going to cook? Right. And so what foods do you already know and love that are on the foods to eat list? So that if, it feels easy for you. And so we focus on that. And then when I give them that protocol, they stay in touch with me. So it's one-on-one coaching. So they're letting me know like, oh, I did this and I had this symptom, or wow, like my hair shedding is improved, or and then I start understanding what these supplements are doing for this person, and do I have to pivot? And so we're adjusting, for however long they're with me. And then they're just tracking how often are they doing these daily rituals, how well are they doing with the diet, and how many symptoms are disappearing. And then at some point we get to we allocate a lot of their funds to the one-on-one coaching with me and the supplements and the rituals. So that's like where most of it. And then later on we get to a point where we're like, okay, let's kind of see what's left. And then we might run labs at that point. But I'm really focusing on the usual suspects in the beginning based on their symptoms. Like I'm looking at the sys- systems that need to be supported, and how do I support them for this person based on the symptoms that they're experiencing, and to just see like how quickly can we get this person relief is the goal. Like
Yeah.
how dramatically and how quickly can we get this person relief. And so and then yeah, so eventually then we just decide like, do we want to run labs, which kind of labs, depending on what symptoms are left, basically.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that
Yeah.
process for
And then
sure.
I also have a 10 module course that's included where I teach them everything from like what are the five non-negotiables to reversing hair loss naturally, and how do you heal the gut, and even how do you anticipate the pitfall and prepare yourself for it so you don't always fall into the pitfall, right? So I used to go to church and I could not stop myself from getting the free coffee. Like it was like just so subconscious. And then I said, man, every time I put that hazelnut creamer in that coffee, I always get bloated and I get symptoms, and my sometimes my scalp will hurt, and I have to break that habit. So I started going to church with a cup of tea in a canister until I broke the habit. Now I don't have to go with anything. Maybe I go with water, but so it's about like just all those
Gotta stay
different things.
hydrated.
Right, yeah, yeah, all those
I
different
could
things.
not make it through a church service without water.
Right, you need something, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's the course and then there's the group. So I have a container of other women and they're all working towards that same goal. And so one of the things that happens often with women with hair loss is they're thinking like, man, this is another thing that isn't gonna work because everything just doesn't work, or it works for a little bit, and they're so tired of it. And so they have the fear. But when they're in a container with other women that are showing the pictures, like, oh, look, I have less hair shedding. Look, my temple is thickening again. Now they're like, oh, well, maybe I'm next. And so they're not thinking like this isn't gonna work. Like they start thinking like, oh my gosh, like finally, like it's working for the people like right next to me. I know it's not a hoax. Like they're literally, it's not an AI generated image. Like I could text this girl, right? So we're
Yeah,
in a group.
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's how I work. It's a group, it's one-on-one, and we're really focused on the root causes, addressing that, and then just practicing being the new version of ourselves that's going to give us the space to regrow our hair.
I love that. Absolutely. What would you say to the woman listening who feels like she's kind of lost hope and thinks that it's too late to regrow her hair? What would you say to her?
I mean, I've had women that had hair loss, like I said, 30 years. There's another lady that had it for 25 years. I would say that you get the reality that you accept. Because you could be the person that says it's too late for me. And then because you believe that, you're not going to try hard enough. So it is going to be too late for you. But you could be the person that says, if it's I'm either going to be the first one that it happens for, or there were other women that it happened for, and so why can't it happen for me? And you're just going to be committed to getting that relief or die trying. And that has to be the
Yeah.
decision. And if you
Yeah.
could make that decision, then it's something that you can have. But if you don't make that decision, then you won't have it.
I love that. That's so important. Amazing. Well, Saril, thank you for your wisdom and your heart today. If you guys want to connect with Saril and learn more about her Belle Organix
Balance.
program, yes,
Yeah.
check the show notes below. I'm going to have links to her social medias, her website, as well as some of the product or the product that she mentioned too. And if you
Yeah. And
guys found this, oh, go ahead.
there's a book that I can give away for free at my website, so belcanics.com/book.
Oh,
And it just teaches you how to listen to your body, how to start putting together the symptoms with the systems, and then just being more aware of the daily choices that are making your hair worse. So they could definitely download that book and join the Facebook group. So because I go in there live once a week to answer questions, and I'm actually going to do that right now. So it's a good way to have an extra resource uh, to bounce your ideas off of and to ask questions.
absolutely, yeah. I'll put that in the links below as well. And if you guys found this video helpful, sorry, this episode helpful, be sure to share it with a friend who may possibly be struggling with hair loss as well, and follow the Experience Health podcast and Surreal social media platforms for more. Until next time, talk to you guys later. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Experience Health podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow for more. If you have a question, feel free to shoot me a DM on my Instagram at healthbyrachel with 2 A's. Until next time.